Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to talk about the subtractive method in clay. This is following our video on the additive method. So if you notice, my flat slab now has some pieces that have been raised and pushed out. You can see I have my B and my O that you saw in my sketch, and you see this kind of mountain piece. Now, none of them are clean or perfect. If you look, there's lots of edges. I still have places I need to carve out. We worry about that craftsmanship piece at the very end because we're still gonna do things that kind of make this piece a mess. So if you spend all of your time with craftsmanship after attaching everything, then you're gonna have to go back at the end and do more anyway. So the tools that we use for subtractive, typically you use a loop tool. You guys have a variety of different shapes, and depending on how you hold it, you can get different effects. So if I kind of use this flat piece down, I'm gonna clear a larger area with a little bit of clay. If I use the corner, I can go a little deeper and have a thinner line. So think about how you're holding it. You also wanna think about the depth. So if I carve really, really deeply right in this area, I could actually go through, and sometimes you do wanna have holes through so you have negative space, but you wanna be really mindful of that. So just kind of take your time with it. The other tools we're gonna use are wooden tools. These are nice to kind of smooth out areas and kind of clean up and get rid of some of the pieces that might be in your way. So to start with, it's a little hard to see, but I have this line here and I have this line here, so I'm gonna have more mountains that go back. So I'm gonna start with carving the deepest area, which for me is the sky area. So I'm gonna put it down and I'm gonna run my loop tool, sorry for the shaking, right along the edge of where I have defined mountains. Now remember, that was just an initial sketch, so if I do want to make some modifications along the way, I can. And since this is my lowest level, I know that I'm going to be clearing quite a bit of clay. You can always add or get rid of more, so just be aware of that. You don't want to go through unless that's your intention. All right, so I'm just kind of going right along the edge there so that I really define the edge of that mountain. Now I'm going to get rid of some of this other clay so that it continues to stand out, and I'm going to switch my loop tool to one that's a little flatter so then I can start to slowly take more away. Now you see there's all of these little crumbs that are coming off of my clay. So if I add water at this point, all of these will stick to it. So keep your clay dry. I should also say we're doing this step when your clay is leather hard. So right now this is not bending anymore. It is much more sturdy. So if I get some of those scraps out of the way, you can see that I've defined this edge of the mountain. Now I still have a lot of cleanup to do in this area if I want it to be flat. So I'll have to take my time with my loop tool and continue to cut away to try to make it a little bit more even. Now, if I'm thinking about, I've got a long way to go there, but if I'm thinking about wanting this to recess a little bit from this piece here, I'm gonna do the same thing, except this time I'm only gonna cut a little bit away. So you have to be really mindful of how much clay you're taking away at a time, and it's a really slow process, but we do it when it's leather hard so you have a little more control. And don't worry if it's imperfect, if you've got edges that, like right now you can see all of these imperfections. That might be a texture that I end up wanting to keep. Or when I get to the craftsmanship video, I can show you ways of cleaning that up. So don't panic, just take your time with it. As you're working and taking away layers, keep double checking and always keep getting rid of those scraps so you can see it more. Now you can see this layer is starting to pop out and I've started my carving here. So I have a long way to go, but that is the subtractive process. And the final video will be on craftsmanship to clean up once you've done a lot of your detail.